In this video, we are looking at polar equations, and we are going to see how to convert from polar to rectangular and rectangular to polar. So here are three guidelines that we are going to follow. The first one says the equation contains r, sines and cosines multiplied by r unless the sine or cosine is in the denominator. If the equation contains a trigonometric ratio other than sine and cosine, use the reciprocal quotient identities to change to sine and cosine. If the equation contains r and a constant, square both sides of the equation. If the equation contains an angle theta and a constant, turn both sides into a tangent ratio using that formula. Let's do some examples here. Express the following rectangular equations into polar equations. Okay, so here we are going to follow the guideline number 2 because the equation contains r and a constant. So that means I'm going to square both sides. So r squared is equals to 2 squared. So, and when I see r squared, then I remember that x squared is plus y squared is the same as r squared. So I'm going to replace the r squared with that. So x squared plus y squared is equals to 4. And that becomes the equation. So you can see I have written the equation in terms of x and y, the rectangular coordinates. Okay, we go to the next one. And for the second one, we are given the equation, but I see there is secant. And from these guidelines, I'm told if the equation contains a trigonometric ratio other than sine and cosine, use the reciprocal quotient to change it to sine and cosine. And that's what I'm going to do. So secant is the same as 1 over cosine theta. And then from that point, I'm going to multiply by cosine of theta, both sides. And when I do that, what do I get? I get r cosine of theta is equals to 1. And remember, I have to remember that y is equals to r sine theta. And I also need to remember that x given by r cosine of theta. So what does this mean? What I have here is the same as x. So the equation is x is equals to 1, and that's the answer. So for this one, I have r and 2 sine theta. So I multiply both sides of the equation by r. So I get r squared is equals to 2r sine theta. And I know r sine theta is the same as y. And I also know that x squared plus y squared is the same as r squared. And this is the same as 2y because r sine theta is y. Then here, I'm going to rewrite this equation plus y squared minus 2y is equals to 0. I'm going to complete the square for this equation. So here, what do I get? So that the equation can be in standard form. So I have x squared plus y squared minus 2y. Then I'm going to divide negative 2 divided by 2, then square it. So plus 1 is equals to, whatever you do on this side, you do it on the other side. So then I have x squared plus y minus 1 squared is equals to 1. And that is after factoring this equation. So that's the equation. So that's the answer. Okay, let's go to the next one. So for this one, we have 3, but the cosine and sine are in the denominator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4 cosine theta plus 5 sine theta. So I multiply that by r is equals to 3. Then I'm going to distribute 4r cosine of theta plus 5r sine of theta is equals to 3. So r cosine of theta is the same as x, so 4x plus 5r sine theta is equals to 5y is equals to 3, and that is the equation. So okay, so here is another equation. So how do we do this one? Here I have r and I have 4 cosine theta and 4 sine theta. So I just need to, by following the guidelines, guideline number 1, I'm going to multiply both sides by r. So this is r squared is equals to 4r cos theta. So I multiply both sides by r. So I'm distributing the r inside plus 4r sine theta. So then what do I do from this point? So remember, this is x squared plus y squared is equals to 4, I forgot to put theta there, x plus 4y. Then all I need to do is to complete the square so that the equation is in standard form. So I have x squared minus 4x, and I'm going to take negative 4 divided by 2 squared, so that will be 4, plus I take the y squared, and then I subtract 4y, and then I take negative 4 divided by 2, I get 4, so I get that. And on the other side, whatever I added on this side, I added to the other side. 4 plus 4 is 8. Then this becomes x minus 2 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equals to 8. And there is my equation. Okay, now here we are going to convert from rectangular to polar. And remember, these equations, they're going to be variable here. We're going to use them. Okay, so convert from rectangular to polar. So number 1, so I have x is equals to 4. Remember, x is the same as r cosine of theta. So I'm just going to say here r cosine of theta is equals to 4, but then I saw 4r, so I divide by cosine of theta, both sides. So what do I get? I get r is equals 4. 1 over cosine is secant, so this is going to be 4 secant of theta. And that's the answer right there. Okay, So let's do another one. So here I have y is equals to x squared. So what am I going to do with this one? I know that y is the same as r sine theta is equals to x is the same as r cosine of theta, and that's going to be squared. So I get r sine of theta is equals to r squared, and this is going to be cosine squared theta. And the next thing I'm going to do, I want to isolate r, so I'm going to divide by r cosine squared theta. And then here I do r cosine squared theta. Because when I do that, see, this is gone, and 1 r squared divided by r is just r. So I get r is equals to, and see, this r is gone, r is equals to sine theta over cosine squared, let me write it better here, cosine squared theta. And is there another way we could write this? Remember, here we could, let's rewrite this one. See, this is r is equals to sine theta, and 1 over cosine is secant, so secant squared theta. So same thing. So each of those answers is correct. Okay, so here the next one, I see x squared plus y squared is equals to 16. So how do I solve this one? So here, remember, this is the same as r squared is equals to 16. Then r is equals to 4. That's the equation. The next one, we have x. X, remember, what is x? X is the r cos sine of theta, r sine of theta is equals to 1. Then I'm going to, let's factor the r out. So this is going to be r cosine of theta sine of theta. So that's what we have. Remember, when I open this, it's just x, y. Okay, so here, this is x, this is y. Okay, so this is equal to 1. Then the next thing I'm going to do, let's divide by cosine of theta, sine of theta, cosine of theta, sine of theta. So see, this is gone. So what do we get? R is equals to 1 over cosine theta sine theta, which is the same as R is equals to secant of theta, and then cosecant of theta.